Honestly, TBV it has surpassed my expectations. Following from what happened in Boruto Part 1 with the whole Omnipotence event, I really didn't know how Kishimoto was going to handle Boruto leaving the village. It was such a big cliffhanger to end Part 1 off like that. And the fact that he's kind of shown off Boruto as such a cool character, I'm glad that he kind of went that route. Of course, I do have some criticism, some gripes, nothing too big, just little nitpicks here or there. But in terms of the overall time skip so far, it's been really, really good. I've been enjoying it. Each chapter has been a banger. The writing from Kishimoto when it comes to the plot twist, when it comes to Boruto and how strong he is, Kawaki's dilemma not being able to keep up with Boruto, as well as the new villains with the Ten Tails, Jura, Hidari, etc. Their goals of wanting to learn more about the world. I think it's been really beneficial, and I'm glad we're having like new villains that are trying to. They're adding on from the Otsutsuki and the Ten Tails, which is added on lore that was included at the end of Shippuden, and of course in Boruto, right? Boruto Part One.
Right.
So far, man, the first 10 chapters of TBV, it's been banging. Every chapter's been a banger. Even like the slower paced chapters that don't have much action, every single page has important information. I feel like there isn't repeated dialogue per se because I feel like the one thing that one thing I really didn't like about part one, at least, this isn't a big criticism, but a little bit nitpick of mine, was the fact that sometimes Kishimoto would repeat himself in some of the chapters, like there'll be repeated information. I
Yeah.
understand there sometimes needs to be like a recap or analysis for what has happened, but we're getting right into the action,
Yeah.
and I really do appreciate it because we're going right into the story, and it's keeping us ready for like what's gonna happen next chapter.
Yeah. No, that's facts. And I mean, as far as like that, like
You
I was seeing a lot of people that was saying chapter 10 was a little lackluster. Would you agree with that or not?
know,
Nah, man, I thought chapter 10 was great because chapter 10 was they're finally setting time for the side characters of this series.
Hmm.
Because at least in the manga, like forget the anime, at least in the manga for Boruto Part One, there was a lot of just Boruto and Kawaki
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah.
And like I get it, of course, those are the main characters of the series. But when it comes to the other characters like Asarada, Himawari, we've seen Mitsuki earlier in TBV. They're finally getting that main focus when it
Hmm.
comes to their actual character. We saw this earlier with Mitsuki on his his son, with how he views Boruto and Kawaki.
Hmm.
Obviously, he got mixed up with the omnipotence, but he realized that Boruto isn't the root of all this, and he's finding his own purpose. That's very important for his character. Same thing goes for Himawari. She's now the new 9,000 Cherokee. It's setting her up to be an important player in this series, as well as Sarada as well, because she's also a main character and she's going to battle Hidari next chapter, as well as Himawari. She is going to fight Jira, even though I don't think she's going to win. Probably going to. She might impress a lot of us with her newfound power with Kurama, since Kurama has also turned a new leaf. But the fact that he's trying to help out Himawari instead of just trying to take her over, he's trying to guide her, which also
Yeah.
is like where Kurama's essentially become part of the new generation as well. So I mean, I thought chapter 10 was great.
Yeah, I like that. Mello even brought that up. Like, we have like an old gen character that's a new gen character that's in the field. We don't really have that. Like, we don't have Kakashi. We don't have none of the seasoned vets out there in the field. So to have Kurama back and guide him or Ori, that's a plus for the series. I agree with you on that.
Yep. Yep.
yeah, 1,000%. I heard you talking about the Shinju and how they don't necessarily have that hardcore sense of direction, or it's like a different kind of villain that we haven't necessarily had in Naruto or Boruto for some time now. Quick question: do you think they'll stay villains since they don't necessarily have like a core set belief?
I think they'll stay villains. I think at least Jura, the main villain, he is going to stay as an antagonist for the rest of the series until he dies off. I think Hidari could change simply because that derives from Sasuke, and I think that connection with Sarada could change because obviously he's trying to kill Sarada right now. They're going to battle next chapter. However, I think that there could be, Kishimoto could add some things in there where he could turn on Jura and team up with the Leaf Village. I think that is possible with his character simply
Yeah.
because of the connection with Sarada.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of these characters are going to stay on the bad guy side for now. I don't think
Yeah.
that's gonna change.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think they like hinted towards that, like when he was like one of the only ones who was questioning Jorah. I can't remember what chapter that was, when it was talking about who they wanted to devour and like who are they and stuff like that. They was trying to figure things out. He was the only one to really question
Yeah,
Jura on like why are we doing this type shit.
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, true. And my thing. Well, before I go, you were basically running down some of the targets and pretty much basically stating their roles in the series. Not necessarily saying that all of them are going to be like the main characters, but of course, Himawari, Sarda. What are your thoughts on Konohamaru? Is Konohamaru actually going to have like a decent role, or is this just another opportunity for the board to rise to just get him washed, get him gone,
I
possibly just
actually
give him another beatdown?
yeah, you bring up a good point there. I actually think there's a chance for Konohamaru to be useful for once because we saw in part one, my man was a punching bag. They were throwing him around every time there was a new villain. They would just throw in Konohamaru into the mix to essentially allow the villain to just flex on Konohamaru. It would make him look really, really bad. We saw with Kashin Koji, we saw with
Yeah, he was
Ao, we
like
saw with
Yamcha.
Jikan, we saw with Ishiki. Yeah, he was the Yamcha of part one, and
Mm,
I think if there's any chance for Konohamaru to redeem himself per se, or at least give him a major role, now that he is viewed as the Hokage assistant right now in the series, I think this is his chance. Right now he is with Sarada in the village, ready to fight Hidari, so he could help out Sarada then and there. Obviously, we don't know how strong Sarada is, but I do think Konohamaru could have a play in helping out Sarada when it comes to fighting Hidari. Now, do I think Konohamaru is gonna, beat a major villain? Probably not. But I do think this is his chance, right? I hope he has some sort of dialogue where, obviously, he does want to become Hokage like Naruto. He's following the footsteps of his, older friend. So with that being said, I think it would be beneficial for his character to actually be of some sort of use because he's always been an embarrassment. Obviously, it's not his fault because power wise, he's not
mm-hmm.
on the level of these other villains or
Yeah.
even the other characters in the village. However, I do think it's time for him to like really step out of that, step out of that garbage can instead of being shitted on. Sorry, not just shitted on, but instead of being like beat down on. Um, and actually like be useful for once or like be useful for the plot at least, right? That doesn't mean like beating up a villain, but at least like helping out and not just getting one shot by Hidari, for example. If he like
Mm.
provides like a new suit, I think that'd be fire, right? It's been a couple years. It's been 3 years, so
I want a
maybe
sage mode so
you know,
bad for Konohamaru.
yeah, yeah, stage mode or like new toad summons. He already has one. Maybe new jutsus. I think it would be good if he just like has some sort of level up like the other kids that went through this time skip because that would also show you like his growth and his development as a character because we haven't really gotten that much of Konohamaru in the entirety of the series, even the anime. Because we only gotten like one cool moment with Konohamaru, and that was when he was fighting Jugo, and that was like technically a filler episode, and that was like 100 episodes into the anime.